Yeah, so a metaphysical conceit is or has okay? You're done, right? Yes, this is right. Scientific terms previously not used in poetry. It's not a group of metaphors. I remember last time I asked you another question, which is the other way around. I forgot which one. I asked you whether this poem sounded. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? I asked you whether that poem has an extended metaphor. No. I asked you whether one sonnet has extended metaphor, but that sonnet has a group of metaphors. So this is actually the other way, asking the question the other way around. You know, a metaphysical conceit is an extended metaphor. So it does not have a group of metaphors, right? Any challenge? Okay, yeah, make sure you get the idea. Here, metaphysical conceit is an extended metaphor which involves a striking comparison of two things which are incongruous, like parting of the lovers. No, let me not talk about it. Okay. Yeah. So make sure that you remember this. And in the 17th century metaphysical conceit, because of the age of exploration, expansion, they started to use some scientific terms, using like voyage, you know, or using alchemy to compare in poetry. So terms which were previously not used in poetry. Yeah. Okay, the next one. Okay, are you done? This is really not a clever question. I mean, I don't always know how to make multiple choice questions. This is a stupid one. Okay. Right. Beating of gold foil. Okay. You know, if you remember what the poem is about, it uses several precious things to compare to their departure, their separation. So it's the beating of gold foil. Okay, 金箔. Okay, the next one. So this the apt to kill me. Though use make you apt to kill me. Okay. Okay. Yes. Me. Killing 3 lives means killing the flea, yourself, and me. Okay. Indeed, in the first stanza, the flea is described as having a swell, a pampered swell, like being pregnant. A woman's being pregnant, but no babies are. The poem does not really talk about babies. It's only refer to the possibility of pregnancy. And here, kill me, and then self-murdered, added be, and sacrilege. So the 3 things are added on. You know, killing me, self-murder, and sacrilege. So the 3 lives should be the flea, yourself, and me. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to turn this into yellow color. Yeah, choose the wrong answer. Yes, number 3. Let's take a look. The first one, while the useful hue sits on thy skin like morning dew, because morning dew is has a very short time span. So it refers to the transience of the youth. That youth can be wasted very quickly. And then let us sport us while we may. Let us have fun. Let us energize ourselves. So this is a copy DM theme. Copy DM means seize the day. Like the amorous birds of prey, rather at once our time devour than languish in his slow-chapped power. So rather we should devour our time. Rather at once our time devour. We should devour our time like birds of prey, than being eaten up by time. Rather languish in his slow-chapped power. Slow-chap, chat. The eating the eating movement of the time. Okay, so it's not eat each other up in sex. So this is not a right interpretation. And here the sun, there's a pun, sun and sun. So let us make our sun run. It means that we use our time to the fullest. So every minute is fast but rich. So that's make our sun run. But then sun also means sun. So let us make our sun run for life. So I think there are 2 implications. In having a sun, we extend our life. So that's another way of having the life run longer. Yeah. Okay. So this one is wrong. I have a question on this part because I thought that last time we seemed to rush through the end, but the ending, the last stanza to his core mystery is the best part. The part which involves the most complicated ideas about life and life's relation to death. And how some people and you can compare this part to. Do not go gentle into that good night. I think in face of life, sometimes some people can be like the speaker of because I could not stop for death, which takes a journey, in a seemingly peaceful tone and mood. But then some people can strive before the final moment and try to make the moment before death, the most, the richest, the most wonderful moments. And I think this is another example. Yeah. Okay, the next one. Okay, are you done? Done, right? Okay. Pretty good. Yes. Well, actually, I don't think I gave a good question here because it's obvious that I added something to the end. Okay. Yes. The argument actually sleep and rest is the second part of the argument. The first in the beginning of Death Be Not Proud, the speaker says that you are not capable of killing everyone. No, at least you haven't killed me, so you shouldn't be proud. And then the speaker said that sleep and rest are experiences of death. So if sleep and rest can be pleasant, then death should be pleasant. And then the third reason is that death is not powerful because it gets used by something else. So it's not all powerful. It is used by fate, chance, used and abused by fate, chance, worldly power. And then finally, it says that the soul will live on after death. So death, only death dies. Okay. So don't forget that last time I showed you the film, and at the beginning, the teacher gives an interpretation of the different uses of punctuation. You know, in the last line, whether there should be a semicolon or a colon. And then I think the ideas mean differently. You know, whether you use a semicolon or a colon. Okay. Oh, a comma, sorry. Or a comma. So make sure that you be sensitive to all these small details. Okay. Okay, that's it. Okay, today we are fast forwarding, you know, from the 18th century to the 19th century very quickly. And we need to do it through Orlando. Okay, because definitely through just a few poems, you know, we cannot be, be very specific about all the historical changes. And also, to be honest with you, I'm not really familiar with 18th century poetry or neoclassicism. It's not really my period. But still, I think that it's important that we get to know how between Renaissance and 19th century, you know, there are some periods of literature which moves in another direction than the passion and imagination used in Renaissance or in 19th century. Okay, so I'll give you an overview of the 18th century, and then we'll just focus on sound and sense, and I'll also give you some tests. Okay, and then we'll fast forward in time through Orlando. Okay, I guess as we remember last time, we talked briefly about the Civil War or the post-Protestant Revolution in the 17th century. 就英国在17世纪的时候有那个清教徒革命和内战。It was an age of political upheaval, and it inspires. At first, it inspires some great imagination, great literature, artistic works, etc. But then, in the middle of the 17th century, at the height of the Civil War, literature is stopped. You know, theater was banned, and then people get to be really focused on the political events. And after that, we move on to with restoration of Charles II. Charles I was beheaded. I think you all knew the history. And then restoration means restoration of Charles II. And then at that time, I think if we say that history moves in pendulum, you know, 就是像是钟摆一样, then with restoration, the historical sentiments and ideas move toward the other end, which is more for reason, order, balance, etc. So in a way, of course, we cannot say that Renaissance is the same with 19th century, but they share some similarities. For instance, the concern for humanities, concern for individuals, respect for ideals and heroism, the expansion of individual freedom, etc. Respect and expansion of individual freedom. But then on the other end, in the so-called neoclassical age, 新古典主义, there is this emphasis on reason, restraint, order, and symmetry, common sense, pragmatism, and the public sphere and the social concerns. So these are the elements that get emphasized in the neoclassical age. And basically, I think that you can ask yourself, you know, whether you as a person sometimes go for extremes or passion or moderation and a nice balance between different things. You know, whether you tend to be more self-disciplined than following the the whims, you know, 就是临时的一些灵感想象 in your pursuit of different things. And last time I talked about 乐极生悲. I guess in order for me to have this feeling, you know, or this sense of life, that whenever I go to extreme, or whenever I went to extremes, you know, something bad will happen. You know, I guess it was because I tend to be more for, you know, the emotional expressions, or more for passion, imagination, etc. So as I went through life, I realized that sometimes if I see people being heroic, being liberal, being individualistic, passionate, etc., and then I see the consequences. I see the consequences of sometimes negative consequences of those passionate expressions and passionate behavior. Okay, so I guess this is something for you to always consider. You know, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. You know, I think there are always two ends, two extremes, and then we always need to try to strike a balance between the two. But personality-wise, I think sometimes we tend to go for one but not the other. Okay, but then it doesn't mean that we should choose those elements on one end, but not the other. You know, we should always try to appreciate the other ends, and then seek a balance between the two. Okay, so probably because I tend to, I really love romantic poetry, and I also love Victorian poetry. I'm not really familiar with the 18th century literature. Okay, I guess it's to do with my own personality. So today I'll just do a quick introduction, and then we'll use just the excerpt from Essay on Criticism, Sound and Sense, you know, as a quick example of what neoclassical poetry is like. Okay, talking about the neoclassical period, it actually started with the end of the Civil War to the end of 18th century. So it has about 150 years. Okay, and the so-called neoclassical poetry has only 50 years, around 50 years. And before, the most popular literary genre is restoration drama. And after that, we have novels of sensibility, and we have Gothic fictions. For instance, Frankenstein. Frankenstein is a Gothic novel under the influence of the 18th century Gothic novel. So in the second half of the 18th century, the sentiments and ideas of the United Kingdom have started to change. You know, have started to make slow changes to be ready for French Revolution and Romanticism. Romanticism being like the phenomenon happening at the end of the 18th century. Okay, so this is a quick overview of the kind of poetry we are reading and where they are in neoclassical period. It's basically in the middle. Okay, it's under the influence of satire. People call this age the age of satire or the age of reason. Okay, I guess for you the most familiar should be Descartes, 我思故我在, enlightenment. These are all words that get associated with neoclassicism, the age of reason. And Jonathan Swift, Gulliver's Travel, is one thing you should be familiar with, 格利佛游记, and that's a great piece of satire. Okay, Swift has another piece of satire called A Modest Proposal, in which he proposed to kill all the babies in Ireland because they are too poor and they are no use. Okay, and of course Swift didn't really mean that. You know, he said it to kind of expose the problems of poverty or the neglect of the British government over those problems that happened in Ireland. Okay, the same thing with Gulliver's Travel. Gulliver ends up rejecting human beings. He prefers to live with, I think, Houyhnhnms, those horses, Okay, of course, it doesn't really mean that Swift himself rejects human being. It's a piece of, a great piece of satirical allegory, 就是有讽刺性的一个寓言，suggesting or revealing the human problems. Okay. Okay, so as some criticism or like Alexander Pope's another long piece of poetry, Essay on Man, they basically express ideas emphasizing order, logic, restraint, accuracy, correctness, decorum, 礼仪, 中庸, etc., restraint, etc. So let's take a look at the poem. I'll explain the meanings. And then, yes, heroic couplet is what the kind of poetic technique frequently used in the 18th century poetry or neoclassical poetry. It's, I think I have the definition soon. It's basically iambic pentameter and then 2 lines, 1 couplet, 2 rhymed lines, 1 couplet. Okay, and so let me start with a poem, and then we'll talk about Pope, and also relate him to the film Orlando.